Today I'm going to be taking a look at this package from BetaFPV, and recently all of the products that have been coming to me from BetaFPV have had this packing tape with their logo on it, and the reason I mention that is because this is a very addictive hobby and some of us might not want a certain individual to know what we have been buying and where we have been buying it from. On the plus side, they did put the wrong address on this package, but because it said FPV on it, somebody realized and they delivered it to my house, which is quite amusing. I believe in this package is the BetaFPV 95X V3. Inside the package is this sealed box. This is the analog version, and at the making of this video it costs around about 131 GBP. There's also an HD Vista version which costs around 204 GBP. It's available with different receivers. This is the TBS version, but it's also available as a PNP. We've got the FrSky FCC version, which will be an XM Plus, and the FrSky LBT, also an XM Plus, and there's a Futaba variant as well. First time opening the box, and let's see what's inside. So we have got a chrome BetaFPV bag with some bits in it, and another one here. We've got a 90-degree USB adapter, and this looks like an SMO to a GoPro Lite or naked GoPro connector. And then inside here we have got the quadcopter all in one piece, and we've got a little card there. My first impressions are that it is extremely lightweight, being the analog version. Usually I'm used to feeling a bit of weight with the Cadex HD Vista in there, so that's going to be good for flight times and flight characteristics if it's got a decent tune on there. Now, I never got to check out the V2 of this guy, either analog or HD, so I'm going to be checking this guy out as it is, as a brand new quadcopter. When I see these protectors on a quadcopter, the first thing I do is just see if there's any play in them, specifically on this one as well, because all of this is in one piece. So if that broke, you would have to replace all of this plate on here. I believe it's something that they have done differently from the V2, which had a carbon fiber plate on there. They've done away with all of that on this one. Everything's really sealed as well. You can't really see any of the components. We've got a little cutout for the VTX on the top there. And a mistake I think they've made with this guy is that they have designed it to be used specifically with the SMO BetaFPV Insta360 camera, which, if you don't know, is a decased Insta360 1R to be made much lighter. I've already reviewed this guy, and it's not on par with a naked GoPro, and all of the mounting for the camera on this is for the back of this camera, which is wider than a naked GoPro from BetaFPV, and it's also designed for their mount, which I've currently got on the GEP-RC rocket, and it's really difficult to switch out because it's just this one screw here. So what I did was I took all of the screws out of the back here rather than that one, and put it in this one so that I could review it on another model. And that's one of the downsides, I think, of this setup really, is once you have put it all together, you're really investing in this quadcopter because you can't really take it off easily and transfer it to another model. This connector here as well is for this camera, but they do give you, as I saw earlier, this adapter here, which is for a naked GoPro, but you would have to print off something for a naked GoPro. I wish they would have given both options, because there's a lot of people out there with a naked GoPro already. And a lot would say that a naked GoPro is better for doing cinematography than something like this, which is very much still in a beta phase. So I said this thing feels really lightweight. Let's see how much it does weigh. This might be tricky because of these protectors. Don't know if it's going to show up on the camera, but that's 101.2 grams. I believe the HD version with the Vista and the Nebula Nano weighs 116 grams, so not that much of a saving really. I thought it would be a little bit lighter than that. And then with the SMO camera, if I can let it just rest there, that's 131 grams, and they are recommending a 450 milliamp 4S battery, which seems small. I would have thought around about 550, 650 milliamp, but I'm going to follow their guidelines. So let's see if I can put that on here as well. We are 186 grams, so it's actually going to be quite heavy, isn't it? The quadcopter is a True X pusher configuration, which I like because it means that the struts don't get in the way of the thrust airflow. They're only on the intake, which is much better for things like yaw, washout and prop stall. So we should have plenty of power there for the control, hopefully. The blades are a 5-blade gem fan prop. Looks like they are in a props out configuration as well, so if we did bounce into anything, then it won't get sucked into the wall. It sort of bounces off. That's what's good about the props out configuration on this type of quadcopter. And with them being a 5-blade, I think the idea is for it to be quieter than a tri-blade. The motors are BetaFPV's own. They are an 1106 3800 kV, and as I say, it's designed for a 4S LiPo. They say 450 milliamps. This is the only one that I've got. It's before these type of quadcopters were around, so it's not the elongated shape. The flight controller and ESCs, it's an all-in-one system. So if anything fails, then the entire board has to be replaced. However, I found that not to be so much of a problem. My current favourite one of these is the GapRC Rocket. Alright, this is the HD version, but it's got an all-in-one board as well, and this is what this one is up against. Now this one much more expensive. It's got the HD Vista in it, but what I like about this one is the fact that it's got a full DJI camera. It is a top mount, and we've got better balance when it comes to the weight. I think you can do acro with this. This is kind of an all-in-one solution. Yeah, it's got smaller props, only at a 2-inch, and even though it's the HD version, for me this can do absolutely everything. It can have any camera up the front there. It can be a Cinewhoop, it can be a freestyle quadcopter. I'm not sure that is the idea with this one. We'll have to see. The ESCs are 32-bit. I think that is the Crossfire receiver just underneath there, and we've got the TBS antenna wrapped around the outer edge of the frame, so no Immortal T antenna with this one. The VTX is BetaFPV's own MO2 5.8 gigahertz VTX. Says it's 350 milliwatt, but on Banggood it says 250, so it's right there, 350 milliwatt. Now that's not the most powerful VTX for something that's carrying Crossfire. The antenna for the VTX is nicely held in the back here, and it's also wrapped around the Crossfire antenna. Interestingly, it's a right-hand circular polarized antenna, and I'm not too fond of where it is situated. I would have liked it to come up here, at least as high as the SMO camera, because when the battery is on here, then it's going to get in the way of the feed. It's not ideal. We do have an anti-slip mat here for the battery, and the battery's going to sit sideways like that. It looks like it's tricky to get to the flight controller. That's why they have given this adapter here. As always, be so careful with these adapters because they act like a lever, and if you just jolt them, they can rip the USB port off the flight controller, and that's not fun at all. I've had that happen to me a couple of times. The camera is the Cadex EOS, and it's been relabeled BetaFPV. The mount is just on 2 screws there, and it's sort of sticking out a little bit, so I'll be looking out for vibrations with that one. Of course, we've got this vibration dampening plate here for the SMO camera. I do like that they have given the screw for it. You don't usually get this much in the package with a BetaFPV product, so let's see what else we have got. We've got a spare set of the props. We've got another mount there. Actually, that looks like it's for a micro-sized camera rather than a nano, so that's interesting, isn't it? And we've got some black foam if you don't like the red. or if you need it as a spare, because this one, you know, has gotten damaged. We've got an Allen key there and some screws. That is your lot. I really don't want to be taking this apart because it's one of my favorite setups, this, so I guess I'm gonna have to buy another one of these cases. Who be me, eh? So the screw that has been in there has sort of bent this plate here, so I think what I'm gonna have to do is somehow flatten it, maybe from the back like that, and there we go. So that's how you do it. Now I gotta get the blimmin' screw in. See that there's just no space at all for anything. Jiggly, 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 jiggly. The screw is a torque screw. Now the SMO comes with one of these, but if you haven't got one, it's a T5. Okay, let's have a look what's underneath this plate. This is just for the other receivers, such as FR Sky, where you might not be able to get to it, but of course Crossfire, you just need to plug it in and it will recognize the receiver, update and bind from there. Looks like we have got a screw there and 2 screws here, so let's give it a go. No! All of this is one piece. So all of that's got to come out. It's interesting, the motors are on little JST connectors, which can act as a bottleneck, and there are solder pads there, so I guess if you wanted to do a mod, that would be the first thing to do. The receiver is in this little compartment here as well, but if I plug this guy in, like so, and if I go into Crossfire on my menu, so like a long press and go bind, there you go. See, it's recognized the receiver and do update, and there we go. It's doing an update and binding and things. So it's a good thing about Crossfire, you don't have to take all of this apart. Might not be the case for FR Sky, so I thought I'd show the process of this coming off. It's a bit of a pain, but not too bad. Ta-da! Link state running! Alrighty, let's take a look at the beta flight setup. It's come flash with version 4.2.2. In the ports tab, we've got 2 spare UARTs, and we've got the TBS Nano receiver on UART 3 for the serial RX, and TBS Smart Audio on the UART 6. So that's good. A couple of spare UARTs into the configuration. We've got a props out configuration, as mentioned earlier. We've got D-Shot 600, motor stop off, but no RPM filtering, which is interesting, isn't it? Also the motor idle 4.5, it's a little bit low, but I will go with that. We've got some board alignment correction there, 8K, 8K, because we're not going with any RPM filtering. Craft name, so personalization there for the on-screen display. Arming angle 180 degrees, so that's good for if we get stuck in a tree, not good if we arm it while we are holding the quadcopter. Basically sums that one up. We've got dynamic filter, on-screen display in air mode, and LED strip. Don't think there's an LED on this one though, but it doesn't matter. RX lost and RX set, so there's no physical beeper on that one, so a good one to have. And I don't think I would change anything there other than potentially that, but I'm going to leave it. Power and battery, 3.5, I would go with 3 for both, just in case we get any unwanted voltage sag. I don't like the warnings that flash up. So we do have some PIDs here that look fairly stock though. Let's have a see. Let's go to profile 2. Oh no, yeah, so those ones are the stock ones, and that one is what they have changed. Let's go into the rate profile. So those look like stock beta rates. I'm just saying beta to annoy some people. Stock beta flight rates. Yeah, let's go with that. Come on, it's like a Cinecopter or whatever. Have got any other ones on here? No, so it's all stock on there, but yeah, perhaps put my own rates in there. So TAER 1234, the AUX 8 for the RSSI, so that might be for the FR Sky version perhaps, because I'll have to set that up separately on Crossfire. I'm going to stick some deadband in here for my radio master transmitter. Modes, I have arming there, I have aux 2 there, I have my beeper on aux 3. We got flip over after crash. Do you reckon that'd work? I wouldn't try it. I wouldn't try it. I know I keep saying that, but I just wouldn't. So not much to change there in the modes tab. On-screen display, yeah, it's pretty neat. That is an NTSC camera it's set up for. So I get rid of the average cell voltage. Don't like that. Have they even got the battery voltage in there? No, they haven't. So I would stick that in there and get rid of average. Just, you know, I just don't like it. I like to see the full battery voltage, and I'm just used to it, I guess. I don't know if that's gonna be in the middle, but whatever. What else have we got? Craft name. Fly mode is fine, RSSI is fine, throttle position is fine, timer 2, yep, VTX channel we want. I'm just going to get rid of warnings because I hate flashy things on the screen. I find it really distracting whilst flying, even though it does tell you some good information sometimes. And the video transmitter, interesting, says 800 milliwatt. They really should have sorted that out. BetaFPV, that is the Betaflight setup. Alrighty, let's go for a line of sight flight with this guy. Of course, the downside with the pusher configuration means that the propellers are just a couple of millimeters from the ground, so you need a flat surface for it. Well, I'm not sure those 5 blades are making it any quieter. It's pretty loud, actually. Let's see how much power it's got. Oh, plenty of power, but I heard quite a bit of voltage sag there and a little bit of a wobble on the descent. So it's a pretty grim day here today. Light-wise, it's good sort of weather-wise. We don't have any wind whatsoever. But I have a feeling that the footage from the SMO camera is going to come out really dull, so I've not got an ND filter on there. Let's see how it flies on acro. Still very noisy. Oh, it seems alright, it feels smooth, man. It feels very smooth. Yeah, really smooth on the sticks. Might be those blades doing that. Yeah, it handles pretty nicely, actually. So I think with this analog version, you're going to be able to do some freestyle with it. It might be worth trying a bigger battery, but this is what they have tuned it for, this is what they recommend. But yeah, I'm impressed with how it handles. Makes all the difference having the struts on the other side. It really does. Much more stable. Having too much fun recently with how the weather is, and zero wind pretty much. Let's get a look at this thing. Yeah, so it's a shame that it's not catered for more cameras. I mean, of course, you could 3D print stuff yourself, make stuff yourself. Oh, that is noisy. That is very noisy. I think they still sell the V2, for the more sort of hobbyist, I guess. This is more sort of all-in-one solution. Of course, you have to buy the camera separately. And that's going to be very expensive if you get the HD version. HD version, don't like that it comes with the Nebula nano camera. Oh yeah, it does really nice rolls. But yeah, loving how this is flying line of sight. loops for days. Anyway, I'm having too much fun here. Let's go do some FPV with it. Alrighty, let's have a go at flying this guy. FPV. Oh, very smooth takeoff. Oh, it feels really smooth. It's a calm day though. Already I'm seeing jello in the video feed through to the DVR, and it's not even a sunny day. And with this being the Cadex EOS, we've got that line at the bottom of the camera. Not sure if that's going to show up on the DVR. And also some of the on-screen display missing up the top just slightly. But you know, if it's getting good footage from the SMO camera, it's not too much of a problem if we're getting jello through to the FPV camera, but kind of did suspect that's what we will get the way that the FPV camera is mounted. So let's try and do some orbits around here. I've got the camera angle pretty flat actually, so we're not going fast today with this guy. Of course, if you wanted to go faster, I think you could. Feels very smooth. So we'll be looking out for jello on the SMO camera. It's running at 4K 30. Oh, we've got some power. The tune doesn't feel half bad either. Already showing 14 volts. That's not good. We should be really landing at 14 volts. I wonder if the calibration is out. The calibration must be out because there's no way we'd have that kind of power on 14 volts. So that's great, isn't it? Can't rely on that. Easy to calibrate, but should be calibrated out of the box really, shouldn't it? We have got the COVID exercises out. I've been waiting for a while, but just cannot be avoided. Yeah, so the tune's a little bit loose. It's not really meant for acro. I'm trying to see though if we get any yaw washout. It's really off-putting that voltage. Should have paid attention to what it said when I took off. Let's go for a dive and see if it will recover. Yep, no yaw washout. It's pretty good. It's hovering here at around about 30%, and quite a bit of breakup again. So yeah, really, I mean, considering this guy is all about the SMO 4K camera, you know, if the footage is no good from that, then well, it's pretty much game over for me. But if it's good, then, you know, excellent. Where's the flight time? Oh, they said 3.5 minute flight time. Oh, and we're flashing, so yep, I'm gonna just put it down here because I don't want it to brown out the SMO camera. But there you go. That is my review of the BetaFPV 95X V3. I'll put a link in the video description as well as a pinned comment if you wish to get one. And as always, thanks so much for watching. Please continue to subscribe. Cheers.